Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series where we're slowly moving between schedules of different things that we want to do. Oh, like switching between watching the Fear Street movies on Netflix and filming this video. I have a weird schedule, and I will not change it. That being said, today we're going to be covering over a series. Not necessarily a series, but I'm going to cover my bases by calling it a series because there is a 1 in the name, and this was, I believe, relatively new, so I'm going to call it that, just for the sake of it. A certain subscriber, or at least a commenter themselves, sorry I didn't remember the name to put in for this series, was recommended to me heavily, and I'm going to take their support on this because this was a damn good recommendation. You see, today's recommendation comes to you by the name of, holy shit, it's another one of those long name ones. So, bear with me on this.
Yes, I had to take the mask off because, holy shit, I could not read this entire name when the thing keeps fogging up. Might have a fix for that sometime. Stay tuned. The Plague Doctor era might be over. We're almost at 100 videos. The title of which, known as ℌ𝔢𝔫𝔱𝔞𝔦 no Tomodachi ni Shikotteru Tokoro Mirareta. Episode 1. Jesus Christ, please stop recommending me very long names. Now, back to the mask.
Done by our friends over at Pink Pineapple for a total of 27 minutes and 27 seconds long, specific number, running at a total of 13 categories, notable of which are MILF, Dark Skin, and Plot. And if you know me, you know exactly why we're here. You see, this entire series this entire episode itself is good in the good ways, but pretty mid at the rest. And I'm going to get into that at a later point. You see, starting off, this entire thing, essentially the plot begins with our main character. I'm going to call him main character. Mostly because I wrote his name down weird, and I don't want to pronounce it because there's like 3 vowels there's 4 vowels out of the 6 letters in his name, and that's dumb. Yeah, I'm a lazy person. That being said, the main character is shown cooking for his mother, as his mother is saying that her friend, Shi-chan, is showing up later on because she's going on a business trip and she needs somebody to look after him while he's there. Oh no, a babysitter holding over somebody who looks like a grown adult. I wonder where this could go. That being said, after he makes the dinner for her, she goes off and does what she does, and then later on in the day, it immediately cuts forward to her and her friend having dinner while he's also there, and making sure that they're both accurately fed. Now, after they get good and acquainted, she stays the night, and his mother leaves early in the morning. Being the person that knows exactly what other people do when they leave the house, you know what people do when they leave the house and they're all left alone by themselves? Break out that internet browser and turn it to incognito mode, because that's exactly what he's doing, and I respect them for the accuracy. That being said, after he opens the tab, I'm going to start it exactly where he opens the tag, because this does have the self-service tag, and I'm going to count it for that. That being said, during the self-service session, he does get it with Shi-chan. So I'm going to go ahead and count this as all one big thing. Scene number 1 starts at 3 minutes and 20 seconds and goes all the way to 13 minutes and 20 seconds. A nice even 10-minute split across the entire thing. After their long rumpus around with everything that they're doing, that goes on for surprisingly long, because this is like less than 30 minutes long and they just spent 10 minutes going at it. Respect for the numbers, but the fractions will lead to a much bigger thing. That being said, immediately afterwards, he kind of fantasizes about everything that's going on. I'm not going to count the fantasies under this whole thing because they are just that, fantasies, and they have not really happened in real life, even though they're just memories. Shut up, it's my logic. I can use it if I want to. He goes over this whole thing, and then he goes and answers the door as he's getting ready to leave, running into Shichan herself, who has showed up with more groceries because she's cooking tonight, which leads to her actually cooking for him, even though he was the cook for this whole thing. Really just gender roles. Everybody needs to know how to cook because nobody wants to be hungry. Learn how to cook. Just everybody in general, because it's fucking useful. That being said, during her cooking session, she gets halfway done with this lovely looking stew. Even in lower quality things of anime sorts, the food always looks good. I don't know why. During the food cooking phase, though, he gets a little handsy and says, "Want to reenact what we did last night?" And she's like, yeah. And they immediately start going at it, which leads into scene number 2. 14 minutes and 15 seconds, and goes all the way to I'm just going to put the card up because I fucked up the numbers immediately. Hey, so here's the numbers. For the second time, because I probably put them in the beginning of the whole thing. Hey, or if I didn't, I'll just, never mind. That being said, after their second go of the entire thing, the mother does return, and he oddly states that they never did anything again after that at any point, which is a straight-up lie, because immediately afterwards, later on that same day when the mom comes back, they go out on a date. And during said date, she gets a little bit drunk, and then they decide to go for a walk in the park. During that walk in the park, they decide, let's go to a motel so that they can sleep it off. And yes, it is one of those motels. So they start getting freaky as they pay for the days and nights that they are going to be staying. During said time, scene number 3 kicks in. Scene number 3 starts at 22 minutes on the dot to 26 minutes and 25 seconds, and then ends as it shows a aerial view of the entire thing, and then depicts pretty much just the mom saying, "What the fuck? You were sleeping with my best friend, and now you got her pregnant? Question mark, exclamation point. What? Definitely not clickbait." I don't know why that came to mind, but that joke was funny in my head. And then essentially the episode ends. So, I guess with the episode ending, yeah, let's get into the review section. Okay, this is a little bit of a weird one. The animation, number 1, the animation is not good. The animation itself is just not good. Like, across the board, there are moments of it where it feels stilted and non-fluid in the way that it does a lot of things. The mouths barely match the sounds coming out of them. And instead of showing the characters moving in a lot of different scenes, it'll just cut to different angles so that it can show the character as if they've moved from a different spot. Which I feel like is a similar aspect as like shaky cam and different angles, like the one scene in Taken that everybody makes fun of where Liam Neeson jumps over a fence and there's 14 camera cuts to show him doing it. Like, it feels a little bit lazy and it adds not a lot. I'm going to give the animation an overall 4 out of 10 because they just feel like there needs to be more effort, but there was definitely a little effort put in. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the characters and story. Characters and story is bad as well, but it is porno bad. What I mean by that is, mom's away, she left a babysitter for a grown adult who knows how to fend for themselves. That screams porno. And that being said, it immediately cuts to the exact same way that it should. It's just as predictable as you would assume it's going to be, without much of the, like, clearly they understood what they were doing. It feels like it doesn't acknowledge that it's being a porno plot, while also doing it. That being said, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, because the characters themselves are just as bland as they need to be for a porno plot, but in this sort of medium, a porno plot is perfectly serviceable. 5 out of 10, serviceable. Now let's go ahead and get into what we're all really here for. The plot. The plot itself ranges for 68% of the running time. You don't know how much I wanted to say 69%, but I'm an adult, and I'll use that joke at a later point. But not only is it there for a large amount of time, it feels like it hits one specific demographic down the board. You see, during these sorts of things, when you watch them for two different reasons. One, you want to see an act committed, such as different places you can put the item in question to make the woman more happy, and in different possible ways. And then there is the woman themselves, such as MILF or dark skin, which this has both of, and it hits straight down the middle. And it feels like when you watch this, you're watching this for dark-skinned MILF. You're not watching it for the acts that she's committing, you're just there for her and her alone. And what she does is great, and I would love to see it happen in a second episode if they decided to expand on the tags a little bit more. But for at the moment, this is a great starting point for if they add another episode to it. That being said, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because it feels like there could have been more variety, but the girl herself is just top tier. And crunching all the numbers together and putting an average across the board leads to a 6 out of 10. If this had better quality, if this had any sort of character progression in this and any sort of budget, then it could have been a lot higher. But unfortunately, just because you have good scenes does not mean you're going to have good across the board. This was still a good episode, no doubt about that. But it feels like most of the budget went into the scenes themselves instead of the animation to make the scenes smoother. That being said, this was a great watch, and I would recommend it to other people, but I would recommend very much skipping over the first 3 minutes of plot to get to the plot. So, I guess I'm going to end it right there. Thank y'all for being here. As I checked the listings for all the different reviews I've done, this is going to be the 98th review I've done. 2 more and I hit 100. That's a huge fucking milestone. And I wouldn't be here without all of you guys giving me the motivation to make these dumb videos. And I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you, the new and the old alike. So, I guess I'm going to say goodbye, and maybe something special will come for the 100th episode. So, until next time, I have been the Doctor. Thank everybody for being here, and remember, have a nice day, don't be a dick, there's too many of them, and wash your fucking hands. I have been the Doctor. Peace.